How y'all doing? That was tepid. How y'all doing? That was more like it. Being an MC, I know that you probably expected me to come up here and do a song or something, but I actually want to talk a little bit about history and activism, because I have a little bit of a special perspective on Dr. King and Mrs. Parks and a lot of those folks, because my dad is from Montgomery, Alabama. Dr. King was my granddad's friend. Mrs. Parks is my great-grandma's best friend, right? We think of these people, we hear about these people, they're like these legendary figures, right? These are just people like you and like me, but they stepped into the moment. So I'm going to share some things about those stories that are often left out. And I'm going to come off the cuff, so if it's messy or if it's factually incorrect, sorry. Fact check everything that I say. Just because I'm the big homie doesn't mean I'm always right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to start off with the bus boycott, right? Everybody knows about that. Rosa Parks didn't want to sit in the back of the bus. Said she was tired. She didn't want to get up. Come on now.
Right.
One does not simply do a boycott, right? How many of y'all have ever successfully conducted a boycott?
No, she was already in the end.
Where would you start?
At the end of the week.
And we have the internet now, right? We got social media. We can coordinate. Before all of that happened, there was a multi-week workshop that was carried out by the labor unions that Mrs. Parks attended, that my great-grandma Johnny Carr attended, that Edie Nixon attended, a lot of other luminaries. They were there, and they taught them how to do it. Mrs. Parks was not the only person who was in that role. She was the person who was selected to be the face of that movement, because there were two other young women who had done the same thing. One was a teenage mom, so they smeared her reputation. The other one, there was nothing wrong with her, but they just made up a bunch of lies about her dad. Mrs. Parks was perfect. She was a church, she was from the church. She was a Sunday school teacher. She was my aunt's Sunday school teacher. She was easy on the eyes, but not too attractive. This is politics. This is real.
Yeah.
She was light-skinned, right? And she had unimpeachable character. Her and her whole family. There was nothing you could say about her. So if in your mind, when you hear this story, it says, oh, she was tired one day, she didn't want to get up, and all this other stuff happened. Nah. Nothing was accidental. Nothing was accidental. But here's the other thing. Nobody thought they were going to be famous. They were just regular people. So this is how Dr. King got famous. I'm starting with the bus boycott, because Dr. King was, I think, 26 at the time. He had just moved to Montgomery. Dr. King was very different at that time than the man that you are familiar with. And I'm not going to talk about scandal or anything like that. Dr. King was an American man from the South. What do you think that means in terms of the types of things that he owned? Dr. King had an arsenal of firearms. It wasn't his idea to embrace nonviolence.
Word.
He was like, if they come in this house, they're getting carried out. Believe that. He was not a weak dude. But there was another man named Bayard Rustin. Okay? Bayard Rustin was a very, very, very brave man. We're talking about an openly gay black dude in the 50s. Right? Yeah. Bayard Rustin, who is, actually I heard that they're making a movie about him.
There is one. Already on there. Netflix.
Bayard Rustin is the dude that convinced Dr. King to embrace nonviolence as a tactic. And here's the thing about nonviolence. Does an elk practice nonviolence with a lion? That's not a rhetorical question. When you're mugged in an alley and they have the drop on you, are you practicing nonviolence? So what is the crux of nonviolence? What is it?
Pacifism.
Don't fight back.
But is it just not fighting back? Is it that simple?
No.
Is a rabbit practicing nonviolence against an ocelot?
Civil disobedience.
The crux, the key to nonviolence, and the reason, and by the way, Dr. King was kind of like iffy on accepting it because he knew that like Gandhi was racist, but tactics are tactics, right? What works, works. The key to nonviolence is having the capacity to do harm. If you're helpless, nothing has changed. You haven't disrupted anything. You haven't given me any reason to think of anything differently whatsoever. You have to be strong and powerful to be nonviolent. It has to be a choice. Nonviolence is really about, and as you know, Dr. King developed and his philosophy developed, and he got more and more away from civil rights issues and more into like human rights issues, right? Economic issues, the things that underlie all of these systems that are put in place to mask what's really going on and keep us at each other's throats. The more he got into it, the more he understood that, you know, there are different seasons for everything, right? And everybody working together makes it all work. So I guess what I mean, what I want to convey through all of that, and tying it in with hip hop, right? One of the cool things about hip hop is that one of the things that always appealed to me about hip hop is the suite of tools that it presents you, right? As a kid, it's like if you're into visual art, you know, you got that. Or if you're like into dark mysteriousness and you want to have like a secret identity, like you go out at night, you do graffiti, and nobody even knows who you are, right? If you're, there's so many people I've met, and I was like, oh man, you're you? Okay. If you're kind of like really studious and you like to nerd out on stuff, there's DJing. If you want to express yourself, or if you like the limelight, there's MCing. If you're very physical, or you just want to move, there's dancing, right? There's a whole suite of tools to help you express yourself. It's kind of like therapy for broke people. That's why so many people honestly are like, oh, hip hop saved my life, because it probably did. There would have probably been a lot more unfortunate incidents otherwise, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is not everything is for everybody. Nonviolence works because of everything else that's happening too. When you think about the movement, you have to think about groups that may not have the same philosophy but are working towards the same end. And strategy is about leveraging that. Because the SNCC wouldn't have been able to do the work that it did if it weren't for more militant groups. And if you look at who the government really saw as a threat, they decapitated everybody, but they said the Black Panthers were the greatest national security risk to America. Why? Because they started free lunches. Free lunches and free healthcare. I'm not joking. They showed people how to make corporations and government not matter. So,
Let's do it.
all of this impromptu stuff, I hope that I've given you something of value and something to think about. But we have to strategize in a new way, you know. And one thing one thing Grandma Carr used to tell me is like, you guys are a new generation. You can't just do what we did. It's not going to work in the same way. The powers that be have adapted. So we have to leverage the tools that we have, but also be mindful of being sucked into using tools or weapons that they have left for us to use. We have to really be creative and come up with some of our own systems. Because some of the strategies that we're using, if we're not careful, will work against us. And will make it easier to disrupt what we're doing. So, I don't have any answers. I'm trying to figure out everything. I'm trying to figure out parenthood. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out how to be a successful musician. I'm trying to figure out everything in life. I think like a lot of us are. But you know what? So is Dr. King.
Yeah.
All these people that we're celebrating, all this movement that we're celebrating is just regular people like you and I stepping into the moment and fulfilling the need as it presented itself to them. A 26-year-old man who just took over leadership of a church in a town that he did not grow up in with people that he did not know became the face of a movement that he was not actually leading because that's what his people needed from him. That's what his congregation needed from him. They needed him to do that. You know, it's unfortunate, but you know, the times, the 50s, whatever, they needed a man to be the spokesperson, and they needed a youthful, vital man with power and spiritual intensity. And the other thing I want to say is, these people were not perfect. You may be aware of some of Dr. King's indiscretions. It doesn't matter. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect, you're not perfect, you're not perfect. I'm not perfect, he's not perfect. Nobody here is. It doesn't matter. Don't let that stop you from stepping into the moment. Because the moment needs you, and you, and you, and you. Specifically, your moment needs you. That all. I forgot I was the host. I've got a bunch of awesome people coming on after me.